All right. Hello, everybody. So earlier today, I made a ranking on animals I believe I could beat in a fight, and I decided to make another tier list. I recorded it right after that one, but I completely sold the bag in the recording. Talked too fast, all that. I'm gonna try to fix that here. I'm restarting. I had it completely finished. Watched the video back. I'm like, man, this sucks. So we're restarting, and I have a little bit of a better idea in my mind. So maybe it's for the best that I'm redoing this. Um, Thanks to It's Not Taken for making this, because I don't know how to make a tier list. And I appreciate that he created this. And these are Dead by Daylight killers. Shout out to my friend Pierce, because he plays this game with me too. And if you disagree, this is just entirely my opinion. So feel free to make any changes you would have made, or state any changes you would have made, rather, in the comments. But here we go. Man, okay. I forgot to change these because I reset it. But this is like the easiest to loop. Like, I 5-gen them every time I come against them. And this is like, I cannot loop them to save my life. And middle ground's probably like, I need an exhaustion perk, or I need to use pallets. It's kind of the middle ground here. And I noticed Trickster's not on here. He's probably hiding because I 5-gen him every single time. Make it a 1-hour match if I have to. But here we go. Clown. I think generally it's probably the player's fault. The people who play clown are clowns. So I don't know if that's necessarily the fault of the killer itself. But every time his piss bottle is thrown at me, it usually misses by about 35 feet and half a barn. So I'm going to put him in A tier in terms of how easy he is to loop. This being here, easiest. Awesome. Sorry, that's a preparation thing. I should have had that done. Then this boy, Death Slayer. I feel like he shouldn't be that hard, but like shack loops or any of those long loops, it is really hard to go up against him. You know, kind of need pallets to counter him. So probably gonna put him in B tier, meaning he's harder to loop. Probably need an endurance perk to get away consistently. Yeah, not a killer I play a lot. Not a killer I like necessarily either, but he does have a cool character design, so I'll give him that. Now on to the Demigorgon. Possibly the least used killer I've ever seen. His teleport ability, not very good for countering looping, or countering anything except for maybe gen progression. In my opinion, pretty easy to loop. Not saying he's easiest to loop, that's a tier to its own. But generally, their dash is the only thing that makes it difficult, so he's harder than Clown to loop in my opinion. So I'll put him right here. And this boy, okay. Well, Doctor, when you first play Doctor, it's scary, I'll give you that. And his ability is pretty good, but when you play him more, I'd say he's more comparable to Death Slayer, a little easier in my opinion. I'd say also a harder killer to play, but he's not that hard to loop. He doesn't deserve. I don't know. I don't really use endurance perks against him, but I've never really had that long of a chase against a Doctor, so there's no way he could be up here. But I'll put him right in B tier. Seems about right. And then Freddy. Freddy Krueger. My least favorite killer in this game, possibly. I hate playing against Krueger. Also, his sleepy thing sucks. I hate it. Whenever I just see that, like that clock ticking in the corner, telling me it's bedtime, every single time I load, or whenever I load into a match, I'd rather face the 5-minute timer than play against this guy. But that being said, his fake pallets aren't really that strong, so I'll put him in B tier. Like, because once you play him a lot, you kind of realize his fake pallets. Like, you kind of start to remember what pallets are. They might get you, and if you're really trying to get a good like bait swing and you just get whacked, it's annoying. But it's something you do learn from, so I think he's hard the first few times you play him. He might be down here, but he's not the hardest killer to loop. And Ghostface, I'm sorry, you're top tier. Every single time I played this killer, I 5-gen them every single time. he doesn't even deserve, like, there should be a tier above this for Ghostface. Ghostface and Trickster would be up here. But yeah, Trickster's not on here, unfortunately. We got the Hag. Her little curse thingy that she puts in the ground, can't think what it's called right now. Again, I haven't played Dead by Daylight in a little while. So, like, she's good at, like, countering Shaq and whatnot, but usually when I see it, I just run in a straight line. So, probably put her in Demigorgon tier. Maybe a little easier, but I think she's definitely harder to counter than Clown, but not in the same tier as, like, these three, in my opinion. Then Hillbilly. He could be anywhere from right here to right here. Really depends on who you play. And not a killer you see a lot, so there's not, I don't have a large pool of information, or large survey size, whatever you call that. Curve Billies, you're impossible to gods of the game. It's truly an art form to watch a Curve Billy. Like, sometimes you let them kill you because they're so, it's amazing to watch, really. In the fear in your teammates' eyes when they're getting flagged down by a Curve Billy. But 99% of them, or every single one I've played pretty much, except for a select few, are garbage. And they like chainsaw their way in the walls. And usually it ends up being one gen left and 4 people teabagging around him. So that being said, I'm going to split the difference, put him with Clown. I don't think he deserves to be an easiest just because there are people who are really good with him. At least in my opinion. In my opinion, what? No. There are people who are good at them, just not a lot of them. Then Huntress. Okay. She is decently good inherently at countering pallets and whatnot and looping with her hatchets. But I feel like, in my experience, a lot of the time when they wind up their hatchets, it's just like such an easy time to get back to cover. And playing Huntress so much, I'm pretty good at countering her, so again, this is my opinion. Probably put her in Hag tier. Like, in terms of difficulty. Like, she's decent at countering looping, but it's not really too difficult to loop her, I'd say. Unlike this fool, he belongs up here. He's basically Hillbilly, but a little bit worse, I'd say, because 99% of Bubbas are insidious Bubbas that like to camp the one kill they get, and that's all they are. So that huge chunk of Bubbas being those insidious Bubba campers, they get the easiest to loop. You don't have to loop them. It's a free 5 gen if they don't even God. English. Cut that out, editor. No wait, I'm the editor. Okay. No, very easy to loop for me because they never even chase you. Unless you're the one on the hook, it's an easy game. And then this goober, Legion. I think he belongs in this tier. He's not impossible to loop, but his ability counters looping very well. So, like, his entire ability to dash over pallets is insane at countering looping. So I think he belongs here. And then Michael Myers. If you're fighting a Burger Myers, kind of belongs up here. If you're fighting that Tombstone Myers, probably down here. But there are definitely harder killers to loop, and he belongs in one of these tiers because, like, I've played him so much, I'm kind of used to how Myers like to play. But, like, Fastball is pretty good, but it's been nerfed, so it's not really something you see a lot. It's not the same for his Legion, I'd say. So he probably belongs in B tier. And the Nurse, he goes right there. There are Nurse players who belong here, probably through here. And there's none of these, and there's just this. There's nurses who have probably 18,000 hours in this game who don't wash their butt cheeks ever. They only shower if they're forced to. Who can literally hit you from across the map because they feel like it. I don't even know how. It's insane. Then they might as well have cheats. And I haven't played in a while, so I'm sure they've been nerfed by now. Hopefully. I hope for everyone's sake they have. But I've played some of the most untalented, skilled nurses that I've ever seen. I know it's a contradictory sentence, but kill this killer, please. Horrible. It embodies this tier. Oni. So, the Oni, during his rage and with the right perk build, he's very hard to loop, and he's definitely more of a snowball type of killer though. once he gets going, he's really strong. But at the start of the match, as long as the survivors are smart, he's actually pretty weak. And so he really shines in those end games and like big maps counter him. So I'd say he probably belongs in this tier just for that reason. But if he's in his rage, or he's like, if it's near the end of the match, probably belongs in this tier, but I'd probably put him right here. Just like average out. And this bum, only good because her traps are super annoying. And they take away from like gen progression and whatnot. Because you have to do them. But other than that, really similar to Scream in her mechanics. She's maybe a little bit better because she has that like lunge thingy. Which I guess Ghostface has too, he can lunge at you, but hers is like more of an ability. Not really sure. But I'm definitely putting her in S tier for how easy it is to loop her. Then Blag. Like Huntress, but probably slightly better. Her spit is a little more annoying, I'd say. Not necessarily harder to loop, but it has more, it's more forgiving because it's more of like a spray that's constant as opposed to like one precise hit. So probably like above Huntress in difficulty, ascending. Then you have the Spirit. Spirit is anywhere between, again, probably like A tier and D tier. D being the most difficult, right? Some Spirit Walker players are gods at the game. Again, that like 10,000 hour player who has never seen the sun or touched grass in their entire life. They belong right here. The Trapper. I feel like Trapper is a killer you only really play at the start of the season when you're in Ash 4. You run into some man who has 0 perks in 3 minutes in the game. This is his first match loading up, too scared to play Survivor. And this poor fool sets traps everywhere, hooking, one random Survivor. And that would be nice. Like, they don't even know what a chase is. They just swing, usually hitting a rock. But I'd say in general, there are, like, his perks are pretty annoying, but usually when they place a trap down, you can see it coming. And so there are skilled ones, like, who have good setups and whatnot, probably belong maybe here. But a lot of them, I'd say, honestly, this tier, just because they place a trap down, you can run away. Not a lot of skilled trappers. They're pretty rare, I'd say. And the Wraith just pings me. My favorite killer, other than the Oni. Sorry. Yeah, so the Oni is my current favorite killer, but the Wraith, I started with him. He's special to me, but he's easy to loop. His ability, it's so counterable. It's not really that good. He is not a hard killer to counter. Unlike this boy right here. This boy right here is so annoying. He does everything the Trapper does, but better. I shouldn't say that. Their abilities are not quite the same, but Trapper's not a good comparison, really. But what the Trapper tries to do, or the Hag tries to do, in terms of looping, which is what I'm talking about here, of course, where they try to block your path, he does it so much better. He forces you to go one direction by completely cutting off half the world from you, and you have to go the direction he wants you to go. And that is just really powerful, in my opinion. And if you play any decent Pyramid, he is very hard to loop, and just not really a fun killer to play against, in my opinion, but I'm sure he's fun to use. And that concludes the tier list.